Introducing the epic new Swift. Time to go swifting.
RCB finished with 187 for 9 against Delhi Capitals at the Chinnaswamy, an innings of two distinct halves. 110 for 2 in the first 10, followed by 77 for 7 in the back half. What do we make of that score, and how much of a chance do our panelists give to Delhi? Let's find out on Maruti Suzuki Arena. Presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout, powered by JBL. I say hello to Mitch McClenaghan, Varun, Dustin, Silgardo for the first time this Sunday. You guys have been warming the couch for a few hours now, but just make sense of that innings for me. It felt like RCB were on course for 220 and well beyond. What's happened in that back 10?
Yeah, there was a little bit of movement early, which looks like it was a little bit challenging with the new ball. But then once they got through that, they obviously lost Faf. But I thought they got back to a really good position. I thought Virat was again out of the blocks fast. Will Jacks was great. But the man who's really been great for them, along with Will Jacks, Patidar, he was class. And at that point, when Jacks and Patidar were at the crease, you felt like they were looking at 220, 230 at a canter as well. But Patidar fell, and then Jacks shortly after, and it all kind of unwound from that point. And I guess the way you look at it now, if you're RCB, thanks mate, appreciate that. A bit of a stumble there. Right? That's when you have the double headers, eh? RCB, if you're looking for positives, I think the wicket really slowed up towards the end. I think there was a little bit, the slower balls really started to stick. So maybe it's not as bad a score as we think, but my initial thoughts are 20 to 30 under par.
What do you think?
Definitely 20 to 40 under par, I would say, because they were 100 for 2 at the 9th over. I think 99 for 2, 100 for 2 at the 9th over. You would expect somebody to go and get 240, especially at the Chinnaswamy, but just 87 runs of the last 11 overs is really, you could say DC actually tightened the screws really well. They bowled some really good overs. Rashid Salam bowled really well. There's a clear new ploy which is being employed by a lot of teams now at the back end of the IPL. That's the round the wicket Yorker and slower tactic, which has been working. That worked for him really well today. Ishant Sharma bowled well at the start. Akshar Patel controlled the game like he always does, and we must also really tip our hats to Mukesh, because he does a really good job coming in at the back end, bowling those Yorkers and getting his team home.
Yeah. That phase from where this inning seems to have changed also coincided with the phase where it felt like Delhi were buying into your theory of not needing wickets because they kept dropping catches.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's a weird innings, because both teams will go in thinking of what could have been. I mean, obviously for RCB they will be thinking we could have got 220, and then Delhi will be thinking if we had held our catches, maybe we would have started the collapse early, because Delhi were all over the place with their fielding. But I do think with RCB, I mean, at times wickets are not as important, but with this lineup, because the top 4 has fired so much, clearly once they got those top 4 out, then number 5, 6, 7, I mean, they haven't had much batting to do in the last few games because RCB's top 4 have been that strong. But here, just caused a bit of a collapse, and then if you can get a team 7 down with a couple of overs to go, then you really can restrict the runs at the death.
Yeah, that RCB batting effort held together, not for the first time in the last few weeks, by Rajat Patidar, 52 of 32, his 5th 50 in the last 7 outings. We've heaped enough praise on him about being so responsible for RCB's batting turnaround. How do you rate his innings this time around?
Well, right from the outset, that cover drive first ball was one of the shots of the tournament, just from like a classical type shot that we all stood back and admired, because, geez, the timing, his position, his weight transfer was on point, and then he just went about his work as we've seen him do against spin. I think it was second ball to Kuldeep. He didn't let him settle, took him down, and Will Jacks continued that. So his impetus in the middle of the innings of really going after spin and being aggressive is what I think's changed their season around. And tonight he did exactly the same blueprint that we've seen throughout the tournament. He was absolutely class.
Yeah, there's been so much talk about Virat Kohli's strike rate against spin, but actually meanwhile Patidar is striking at 225 against spin this season, which is top 3 among all batters. So that, as Mitch said, he's batting in the perfect position where he gets to face a lot of spin. I think today he took the spinners at a strike rate of 200 odd. So
Has anyone been talking about Kohli's strike rate against spin?
I mean, a few people.
Okay.
Yeah.
I missed it.
But people with big platforms.
Yeah, but coming back to Patidar, as Dustin points out, 16 of 7 and 12 of 7. You find very few, I think we'll struggle to find cases of batters taking down both Akshar and Kuldeep. Doesn't happen too often. So that points to just how strong his spin game is right now.
That was always a great matchup going into this game, Patidar versus Akshar and Kuldeep. The thing is, Patidar has a really nice free-flowing swing. He doesn't really break his swing ever. He plays a good slog sweep. He can even hit really powerfully off the back foot, even straighter off the back foot, which is really difficult as a spinner, because sometimes when you're bowling those fifth or sixth stump lines, you want the batsman to cut, but he can just rock back and hit you straight as well. He has a lot of options to spinners, and that's what's getting him going. And like Dustin said, he's one of the top 3 run getters, and he's got the top 3 strike rates for spinners. I think only Klaasen might be ahead of him. That's about it.
Yeah. And I think he may have made some good ground
100%.
given his exploits in the last few games, Patidar. It becomes even more commendable considering if you assess Patidar before these 7 games, he'd had that test series against England, which was a low for him, and then had 4 games with barely 50 runs starting this season.
Yeah, it looked like at the start of the season there was some uncertainty about how RCB would line up, right? With Green, Maxwell, Patidar. Even though I do think he was batting more or less at 4, there was a bit of floating, a bit of uncertainty, but they've kind of fixed him now at number 4. And with Jacks coming in ahead of him, I guess that also helps because they're usually off to a good start already by the time he comes in.
I think they started him at 3, didn't they? They started him at the start of the season.
Yeah,
and he didn't really get any starts, so we didn't really see him in like full flight. But definitely that number 4 slot where he's coming either at the back end of the power play or as soon as the spinners come on, seems like a great position for him.
Let's tuck into the bowling now, and especially that back half, which has seen Delhi claw their way back after conceding 110 in the first 10. What stood out the most to you about just how the Pacers went about their business?
Well, there's some momentum, and then Raunak Kapoor came on, and he just shut down one side of the field. He bowled his change-ups, the back of the hand slower ball, executed almost every one of his Yorkers going across, creating a nice angle, not allowing them to get the full face onto the ball, and I think he's just changed the momentum in almost every game he's played. So just clear tactics that RCB didn't seem to be able to combat on that wicket.
I think Khalil as well. There's been a lot of talk about him only bowling well up front and not bowling well at the death and going for quite a few. I think he's kind of silenced a lot of people by the way he performed today, because doing what he did at the Chinnaswamy is commendable, especially the lengths he was bowling. Even the slow balls, he wasn't shying away from bowling a fuller slow ball, like a slow ball pitch on a good length, which can, if it doesn't come out well, that can go for a 6th, and that generally does go for a 6th at the Chinnaswamy. So it was great bowling by him today.
Yeah, you're right. It's probably that over where he took 2 wickets.
Yeah.
He got DK out straight away.
Big wicket.
That was massive because that's what can stop your innings right dead in its tracks.
Yeah, Lomroor and DK were those 2 wickets for Khalil in the 18th over, which started a passage which meant that in the last 15 balls, RCB only added 13 runs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There were a couple of interesting things actually. One of our reporters, Nagraj Gholapuri, did a long interview with Ricky Ponting. A couple of interesting things he said about death bowling. One, he actually mentioned what you were talking about, the round the wicket angle to the right-hander. He said he felt that was really underused. And the other thing he said I thought was interesting is he said sometimes in T20, the best way to be unpredictable is to be predictable. So a bowler needs to pick his best ball and then just keep bowling that, even if you go for runs. I mean, this was Ponting's perspective.
So what we've seen throughout this IPL is we've seen really good wickets at the start of the IPL where bowlers have been forced to go to wide Yorkers because anything missed straight has gone for 4 or 6. And we've seen a lot of bowlers stay over the wicket and having mid-off up. And because of the new types of fields, guys are trying to bowl to that wide Yorker field. But what that allows from bowling over the wicket to the right-hander is allows the batter to get more face of the bat on the ball if they miss inside the line. And it's such an advantage, right armour coming around, creating more angle. And when you're trying to hit with a straight face, everything just slides off. And that's what we'll see more of, particularly on better wickets. And that's what a lot of bowlers were doing incorrectly at the start because they hadn't bowled wide Yorkers or bowled to those types of fields. And some of them are starting to figure it out that you do need to create that more angle, like Deshpande in the earlier game today and now Raunak Kapoor today.
Well, we've given all the props to Khalil and Mukesh and Rasik for that effort at the end. Ishant Sharma getting that one prized wicket, and then the moment after that was quite the moment itself.
Yeah, they're two very good friends, so it was done in all friendliness, I would say, because you could see Virat, as when you're bowling to a friend, you want to get him out, and when you're batting against a friend, you want to smack him. So they were operating from that psyche, because Virat was being very, very aggressive versus Ishant. The first few balls did bounce a little extra, got hit on the glove, was feeling a bit tricky. Then Virat does what he does best. He steps down because he wants the ball to be pitched shorter. 6 of the last ball, and then next over, Ishan kind of sensed what he's trying to do, and then one ball nibbled out, and that's great scenes. Old friends getting each other stuck into a battle.
It has to be a unique one. I don't think I remember the last time Virat Kohli was smiling as much at the fall of his wicket. Can you think of any?
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, put you on the spot. But now the chase is set to begin, and we are seeing something for the first time. The man who displaced David Warner from the DC lineup and the man who David Warner also displaced from Australia's World Cup lineup, they've both come out together. Warner and Jake Fraser-McGurk opening for Delhi. We see Warner return after a long time. Unexpected lines given the team sheet we saw, but this could be really exciting, this combination.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a great combination. They seem to be great friends if you watch everything online. So it'll be a great experience for Fraser-McGurk to actually bat with David Warner. He seems to look up to him quite a lot, as you would, been growing up in Australia and watching what David Warner's done for Australia and cricket around the world. So it's going to be explosive, I'm sure. Davy's job's going to be trying to make sure he takes down Swapnil. He can't let he can't let him bog them down and put Fraser-McGurk in the position where he's facing that more often than not.
In fact, it's both the impact subs coming face to face. RCB decided to get Swapnil. They already given the spin mix. Would you have considered Vaishak, seeing what Delhi had done in the back half of that innings?
I think Swapnil has been good for them over the last 2-3 games. So they would go with somebody who has been good for them. Vaishak has been a little up and down. If you see Vaishak, his main strength is that knuckle ball, which people are lining up nowadays. So maybe he'll have to add a few more deliveries in his armory. But I think Swapnil has been going really well, especially with the new ball and even in the middle.
And one thing on Fraser-McGurk versus Swapnil is that actually one of the players who is striking even faster than Patidar against spin is Fraser-McGurk. He's faced 32 balls of spin this season and hit 10 sixes, which is pretty...
11. 11 sixes now.
We don't know what's happening in the game. But yeah, in fact, I remember talking to Mitch about it. After his first game, it seemed like maybe spin would be his only issue at this IPL, but he's actually been brilliant against spin as well, which is something that trips up a lot of the overseas players when they come here.
Yeah, and it's a pity we've spilled over into the start of this innings, because I'm sure Mitch was going to say that Fraser-McGurk will hit the first ball for 6. That's now out of the window. So give us your next outrageous pick and your prediction for the game, Mitch.
Fraser-McGurk will score 50 off less than 24 balls.
All right.
24 or less.
Balls.
And Delhi will chase it down in 17 overs.
Okay. Varun.
David Warner is going to be not out today.
Okay. So you with a Delhi win. Not a losing chase.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Delhi.
Okay.
I think Delhi chase it in 17.4 overs. And let's say we get a 6 out the ground today.
Oh, out of the Chinnaswamy altogether.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, why not?
Yeah. Safe to inform that one of the outrageous picks has already landed. David Warner will not be remaining till the end of the innings. I can't allow you a repick, but we will leave it there. Thank you,
That is harsh.
Varun, Dustin.
Yeah.
Tough luck. We will pick up the conversation at the end of Delhi's chase against RCB. So much riding on this game, a potential eliminator. Whoever loses this stands very little chance of making it. RCB will be out if they lose tonight. So join us at the end of the game on Maruti Suzuki Arena. Presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout, powered by JBL. Download the ESPN Cricket for mobile app if you haven't already, and keep up the pace with this game. The fastest scores and so much more. Be sure to download the app, and we will see you in just a bit.
Introducing the epic new Swift. Time to go swifting.